Hello, thank you for joining us today for our webinar on the National Bioengineered Food Disclosure Standard, which requires regulated entities to disclose information about bioengineered food and ingredients. My name is Erin Healy, and I'm the Director of the Food Disclosure and Labeling Division. I would first like to introduce the division and the team. The standard is implemented by the Food Disclosure and Labeling Division within the Agricultural Marketing Services of USDA. Our mission is to ensure effective and efficient regulatory compliance throughout the food supply chain to provide consumers with accurate and transparent marketing information about their food. We also strive to provide excellent customer service. As such, we hope this webinar provides you with useful information to help you comply with the standard. Some of you may already know Trevor Finley, the Deputy Director for our division and the subject matter expert on the rule. We have also hired several new people as we expand our division. Lakshman Ramamuti is the Senior Technical Advisor and our Resident Food Technologist. Anna Waller and Serena Baldwin are Agricultural Marketing Specialists and are also Presidential Management Fellows. They have put together today's presentation and are always available to answer any questions that you may have using our BE inbox. If you haven't already done so, please do check out our online resources, which include fact sheets, frequently asked questions, and an interactive tool that can help you determine if your product requires a disclosure. I will now turn it over to Trevor for an outline of the presentation.
Great, thank you, Erin, and thank you all for tuning in to this webinar. The goal of the webinar is to provide a detailed overview of the standard. In addition, LAC at the end of the presentation will be providing a response to a couple of questions that we received prior to today's webinar. Please send any additional questions to beFoodDisclosure@usda.gov. The webinar today will cover who is regulated by the standard, what foods are considered bioengineered foods, how those foods must be labeled, and the record keeping requirements for regulated entities and how USDA plans to handle enforcement. I'll now pass it off to my colleague Anna Waller to start the presentation.
Great, thank you, Trevor. In the summer of 2016, Congress passed an amendment to the Agricultural Marketing Act of 1946. That amendment required the Secretary of Agriculture to draft regulations to establish a national mandatory bioengineered food disclosure standard. By providing a uniform national standard for labeling bioengineered foods, we can increase transparency in our food system and give consumers information about the bioengineered status of their foods. While doing so, we avoid a patchwork of state labeling regulations that could be confusing for consumers and expensive for manufacturers. It's important to note that this is a marketing standard and that the standard applies both to USDA and FDA regulated foods. The standard identifies who is a regulated entity, and the next few slides will discuss who is considered a regulated entity. The standard identifies 3 different groups as regulated entities. These regulated entities are responsible for complying with the standard. The first type of regulated entity is a food manufacturer, which includes anyone who packages food for human consumption and retail sale. The second type of regulated entity is an importer. Importers are defined by U.S. Customs and Border Protection and include anyone who imports food for retail sale into the United States. The third and final category of regulated entity is retailers who either package and label foods for retail sale or sell bulk food items. Examples of a retailer who is responsible for bioengineered food labeling include a grocery store that sells bulk items like fresh fruits and vegetables, or processed bulk items like granola and cereal. The standard exempts certain types of businesses from having to comply with the regulations. These include restaurants and similar retail food establishments and very small food manufacturers. A restaurant or similar retail food establishment includes full service and fast food restaurants, cafeterias, lunchrooms, food stands, food trucks, trains and airplanes, bars, taverns, and lounges. Very small food manufacturers are also not required to comply with the standard, although they may voluntarily comply if they so choose. Very small food manufacturers are defined as those with annual receipts less than $2.5 million. This amount is determined by including both food and non-food receipts. So those who must comply with the standard include food manufacturers, importers, and retailers who package and label food or sell bulk food items. Those who are not required to comply with the standard include restaurants and similar retail food establishments and very small food manufacturers. We now move to what foods are considered bioengineered foods and are therefore subject to the standard. First and foremost, the standard does not apply to foods that are primarily meat, poultry, or egg products. To figure out if a food is primarily meat, catfish, poultry, or an egg product, look at the first ingredient on the ingredient list. If that first ingredient would individually be subject to the Federal Meat Inspection Act, the Poultry Products Inspection Act, or the Egg Products Inspection Act, then the food is not subject to the standard. This means that foods where the first ingredient is pork, beef, sheep, goat, or chicken, turkey, or another domesticated bird, or an egg product are not subject to the standard. If the first ingredient is not individually subject to the Federal Meat Inspection Act, the Poultry Products Inspection Act, or the Egg Products Inspection Act, but that first ingredient is broth, stock, water, or a similar solution, then look to the second ingredient. When the first ingredient is broth, stock, water, or a similar solution, and the second ingredient is subject to one of those three acts, meaning the second ingredient is pork, beef, sheep, goat, chicken, turkey, or another domesticated bird, or an egg product, then the food is not subject to the standard. To figure out if a food is primarily meat, catfish, poultry, or an egg product, look at the first ingredient on the ingredient list. The next set of slides will provide examples discussing whether or not the food is subject to disclosure. In this first example, we look at the first ingredient. In this case, that's pork. Since pork is a meat that is covered by the Federal Meat Inspection Act, this first product is not a bioengineered food. Even if one of the ingredients further down the list were, on its own, a bioengineered food, this particular product is not a bioengineered food and cannot be disclosed. In the second example, we again look at the first ingredient. Here, the first ingredient is vegetable broth. Vegetable broth is not covered by the Federal Meat Inspection Act, the Poultry Products Inspection Act, or the Egg Products Inspection Act. However, since the first ingredient is broth, stock, water, or a similar solution, we need to look at the second ingredient. Here, the second ingredient is potatoes. Potatoes, like vegetable broth, are not covered by the Federal Meat Inspection Act, the Poultry Products Inspection Act, or the Egg Products Inspection Act. Because of this, the second example is not primarily a meat, catfish, poultry, or egg product. If any of the remaining ingredients, such as corn, are bioengineered, then the analysis regarding disclosure would continue. This second example may be a bioengineered food such that it would require disclosure. In this third example, we again start with the first ingredient. The first ingredient is broth, so we look at the second ingredient. Here, the second ingredient is turkey, which is covered by the Poultry Products Inspection Act. Because the first ingredient is broth and the second ingredient is a poultry product, this product is not subject to the standard and cannot be disclosed as a bioengineered food. In our last example, the first ingredient is freeze-dried egg. Because freeze-dried egg is covered by the Egg Products Inspection Act, this fourth example is not a bioengineered food, regardless of whether any of the remaining ingredients would, on their own, be considered a bioengineered food. We now move to the definition of a bioengineered food. Each of the ideas on this slide will be discussed in greater detail in the following slides. Bioengineered foods are those that contain detectable genetic material that has been modified through in vitro rDNA techniques and for which the modification could not otherwise be obtained through conventional breeding or found in nature. Foods that do not contain detectable modified genetic material are not bioengineered foods. The definition also allows for certain factors and conditions that may cause a food to not be considered a bioengineered food, which at this time includes incidental additives. We'll discuss more about each of these ideas in the following slides. The first part of the definition of bioengineered food includes the phrases found in nature and conventional breeding. Modifications that could be found in nature or obtained through conventional breeding are not considered bioengineered foods. USDA has not defined either of these terms and will make determinations about whether a specific modification would be considered found in nature or obtained through conventional breeding on a case-by-case basis. AMS recognizes that the definition of bioengineered foods is complex, and figuring out what foods contain detectable genetic material that has been modified through in vitro rDNA techniques may be difficult for many individuals responsible for food labeling. Recognizing this complexity, AMS created this list of bioengineered foods to help regulated entities determine if their food is bioengineered. This list includes all bioengineered foods that are legally produced and authorized for commercial production somewhere in the world. Where feasible, AMS has included the specific variety of a crop or food to make compliance and record keeping easier. Where only one company is making a bioengineered version of a food, AMS has included the trade name on the list. This list will be reviewed on an annual basis and, if necessary, updated through notice and comment rulemaking. Foods on or ingredients made from foods on this list must be disclosed as a bioengineered food if the records show that the food is bioengineered status of the food. If the regulated entity's records show that the food is not bioengineered, then its label will not include a bioengineered food disclosure. Records appropriate to show a food on this list is not bioengineered will be discussed shortly. For foods on this list that include a variety or trade name, disclosure is required when the regulated entity's records include that variety or trade name. If the records do not show the food as that specific variety or trade name, then disclosure is not required unless the regulated entity has actual knowledge that the food is bioengineered. For instance, if I'm a retailer selling apples and my records do not show that the apples are Arctic apples, I do not need to make a disclosure unless I have actual knowledge that my apples are bioengineered. AMS recognizes that while this list captures all crops and animals that are legally produced and authorized for commercial production somewhere in the world, there may be other products produced in labs or controlled environments and new crops that could enter commerce before AMS updates this list. If a regulated entity is using a food that is not on this list, but they have actual knowledge that the food they are using is a bioengineered food, then they must make a bioengineered food disclosure. If you're using a food that is on the list of bioengineered foods, or a food or ingredient produced from a food on the list, and you do not believe it is a bioengineered food, there are several types of records that will show that it does not contain detectable modified genetic material, and therefore that food or ingredient is not a bioengineered food. We'll discuss each of the following in further detail in the next several slides, but the three options to show that modified genetic material is not detectable, and therefore your food or ingredient is not bioengineered, are to maintain records that verify the food is made from a non-bioengineered food, verify the food has been refined using a process validated to render the modified genetic material undetectable, or verify the absence of detectable modified genetic material through testing of the specific food. You can maintain records that verify the food is made from a non-bioengineered food. These types of records may include organic certification, records that show the food is sourced from an area that does not allow production of that food in a bioengineered form, or any other records that communicate similar information. For highly refined foods that are produced using a food on the list but do not contain detectable modified genetic material, you can maintain records that verify the food has been refined using a process validated to render the genetic material undetectable. Validation is confirmed through testing and through maintenance of processing records. For validation, AMS does not identify which specific tests must be used, but does prescribe standards of performance regarding testing methodology. In general, the laboratory that does the assurance protocols that are common to the industry to ensure the validity and reliability of test results. Once the refining process has been validated through testing and records that show modified genetic material is not detected, and records are maintained that show the validated process is followed, the process does not need to be tested again unless significant changes are made to the process. AMS published the final guidance to ensure acceptable validation of a refining process on July 7th, 2020. The guidance includes 8 general steps to validate a refinement process. The 8 general steps to validate a refinement process are: 1. Identify raw materials, ingredients, and product contact materials. 2. Define characteristics and intended use of end product. 3. Define the sequence and interaction of all processing steps used to arrive at the end product. 4. Identify key step or steps in the refinement process that may influence the end product's characteristics and its ability to meet specified requirements. 5. Assemble relevant validation information that demonstrates the refinement process operates as intended to meet specified requirements, or the end product characteristics, conducting studies as needed. 6. Continually verify the refinement process is operating as validated. 7. Revalidate the refinement process as applicable if significant changes are made to the process. And finally, the 8th step is to maintain records of the validation and ongoing verification. These records, paper or electronic, should demonstrate that the process has been validated and continually monitored pursuant to the standard at 7 CFR 66.9b2. Regulated entities should maintain these records for as long as the validated process is in use by the entity and for at least 2 years beyond the date the food is sold or distributed for retail sale. In the case of an audit or examination, AMS will rely on looking solely at a regulated entity's records and will not be testing food. You can show that modified genetic material is not detectable by maintaining testing records for specific foods that confirm no modified genetic material is detectable. As with the validated refining process, AMS is not identifying specific tests that must be used, but has prescribed standards of performance regarding testing methodology. In general, the laboratory that does the testing is expected to use quality assurance protocols that are common to the industry to ensure the validity and reliability of test results. AMS published the guidance on testing methods on July 7th, 2020, and the document includes 5 key concepts. The 5 key concepts address selecting a testing method when regulated entities use the 3rd option to demonstrate that modified genetic material is undetectable, which is batch by batch end product testing. Additionally, regulated entities can use this guidance when selecting a test method for the refinement process validation option. The 5 key concepts are: 1. General considerations in selecting a test method. 2. DNA-based test methods. The second key concept is about DNA-based test methods. Polymerase chain reaction, or PCR, is the most widely used and accepted test method for determining modified genetic material in a food. PCR can be qualitative or quantitative, and USDA does not prefer one over the other as long as the method is fit for purpose and meets the regulatory requirements. 3. Emerging technologies and other methods. Technology such as DNA sequencing continually progresses and may become more commercially and economically accessible. If these emerging technologies meet the requirements of 7 CFR 66.9 , 9 , 9 , 9 , 9 , 9 , 9 , 9 , 9 , 9 , 9 , 9 , 9 , 9 , 9 , 9 , 9 , 9 , 9 , 9 , 9 , 9 , 9 , 9 , 9 , 9 , 9 , 9 , 9 , 9 , 9 , 9 , 9 , 9 , 9 , 9 , 9 , 9 , 9 , 9 , 9 , 9 , 9 , 9 , 9 , 9 , 9 , 9 , 9 , 9 , 9 , 9 , 9 , 9 , 9 , 9 , 9 , 9 , 9 , 9 , 9 , 9 , 9 , 9 , 9 , 9 , 9 , 9 , 9 , 9 , 9 , 9 , 9 , 9 , 9 , 9 , 9 , 9 , 9 , 9 , 9 , 9 , 9 , 9 , 9 , 9 , 9 , 9 , 9 , 9 , 9 , 9 , 9 , 9 , 9 , 9 AMS will not be maintaining a list of approved or fit-for-purpose methods. Rather, entities should consult the standard at 7 CFR 66.9C to ensure their method is sufficient. The fourth key step is general consideration in selecting a laboratory. The laboratory must comply with the standard at 7 CFR 66.9C. And 5, record-keeping requirements. The guidance documents can be found on our website here under Detectability Testing. The definition of bioengineered food also excludes foods subject to certain factors or conditions. The standard currently includes one factor or condition, which is incidental additives. Incidental additives are defined by the Food and Drug Administration, but generally are foods that are used in insignificant amounts and have no technical or functional effect. When used in accordance with FDA regulations, incidental additives do not need to be included on the ingredient list. Similarly, AMS has determined that incidental additives are not bioengineered foods, and when used in conformance with the FDA regulations, do not by themselves require a bioengineered food disclosure. The standard includes 3 categories of foods that are exempt. First, the threshold exemption allows a certain amount of a bioengineered substance in a food without requiring a bioengineered food disclosure. The standard allows each ingredient to contain up to 5% of a bioengineered substance, so long as it is inadvertent or technically unavoidable. Any intentional use of a bioengineered food or ingredient requires disclosure. This exemption is intended to acknowledge the realities of the supply chain and recognizes that bioengineered and non-bioengineered foods may be grown and processed near one another. Although individuals throughout the supply chain routinely take steps to keep bioengineered and non-bioengineered foods separate, the threshold exemption ensures that when appropriate steps are taken to keep bioengineered and non-bioengineered foods separate, a non-bioengineered food will not require disclosure simply because it was grown or processed near its bioengineered counterpart. In order for the presence of a bioengineered substance to be considered inadvertent or technically unavoidable, the regulated entity must use reasonable and customary practices to separate bioengineered and non-bioengineered ingredients. A small amount of bioengineered corn that remained in a combine or on a processing line after reasonable efforts to remove all bioengineered corn would be considered inadvertent or technically unavoidable if present in an amount less than 5%. Conversely, if a food manufacturer was producing a non-bioengineered cracker and ran out of one non-bioengineered ingredient, then decided to use a bioengineered version of that ingredient, that would be considered an intentional use and would require a bioengineered food disclosure. The second exemption is for foods that come from an animal that is fed a bioengineered feed. Food derived from an animal that is fed bioengineered feed are not bioengineered foods as a result of that animal being fed bioengineered feed. For example, eggs are not considered a bioengineered food just because chicken was fed a mix of bioengineered grains. Similarly, milk from a cow fed bioengineered alfalfa is not a bioengineered food as a result of the cow eating bioengineered feed. Conversely, if a bioengineered animal such as salmon is fed a bioengineered feed, disclosure would be required because the animal is bioengineered, but not because of what it was fed. The last exemption is for organic foods. Foods and ingredients that are certified under the National Organic Program do not require disclosure. Now that we know what foods require disclosure, we move to how that disclosure is made. The disclosure can be made in one of 2 different locations. If there is not enough space in one of those 2 places, then a third option allows additional flexibility. First, the disclosure can be made on the information panel next to the manufacturer and distributor information. If the disclosure is made here, it should not intervene in any other disclosures required by the Food and Drug Administration or the USDA Food Safety and Inspection Service. Second, the disclosure can be made on the principal display panel. The principal display panel is typically the panel that is most likely to be displayed, presented, or shown when the food is being sold in a retail setting. Last, if there's not enough space on the information panel or the principal display panel for the disclosure, it may be made on any alternate panel that is likely to be seen by the consumer under ordinary shopping conditions. There are 4 different options available to all regulated entities for packages of any size for disclosure. Those 4 are on-package text, symbol, electronic or digital disclosure, or a text message. Small food manufacturers, which are those with annual receipts between $2.5 million and $10 million, may use any of the 4 options already mentioned, but can also make the disclosure using a telephone number or website. The disclosure options for small packages include those already mentioned, as well as a shortened statement for electronic or digital, text message, and phone number disclosures. Last, very small packages may use an existing URL or telephone number. For on-package text disclosure, there are several phrases that may be used. If the food is a raw agricultural commodity or a processed food that contains only bioengineered ingredients, the on-package text should say bioengineered food. For disclosure by symbol, the bioengineered symbol must be used. The symbol can be printed in color or in black and white. For electronic or digital disclosure, this must include on-package text that notifies the consumer of how to access the disclosure, as well as requirements for the disclosure on the electronic or digital device. The text on the package must include the statement, "Scan here for more food information," or similar language that reflects changes in technology. A similar statement would be, "Scan anywhere on package for more food information," if the technology being used allowed the consumer to access the electronic or digital disclosure by doing so. When a consumer completes the directions on the package, such as scanning, on their electronic or digital device, the first thing to appear on the electronic or digital link must be the product information page. This first page, the product information page, must include the bioengineered food disclosure using either the same language allowed for on-package text disclosures or the symbol. When used, the electronic or digital link disclosure cannot collect information about the consumer or their devices. For electronic or digital disclosure, in addition to the on-package statement that tells the consumer how to access the electronic or digital disclosure, the package must also include, in close proximity to the first statement, a second statement that says, "Call number for more food information." The phone number must provide the bioengineered food disclosure to consumers regardless of the time of day and can be made using a recording. Text message disclosure must include an on-package statement that tells consumers how to access the disclosure. That statement must be text command word to number for bioengineered food information. The number on the package must be a number, including a short code, that sends an immediate response with the disclosure to the consumer's mobile device. The disclosure that appears on the consumer's mobile device must be made using the same phrases allowed for on-package text disclosure, which includes bioengineered food or contains a bioengineered food ingredient. The standard gives small food manufacturers, which are those entities with between $2.5 million and $10 million in annual receipts, additional flexibility by providing 2 more disclosure options in addition to the 4 previously discussed. The first additional disclosure option is to include the statement, "Call for more food information," along with a phone number that will provide the disclosure to the consumer at any time of day. The second additional disclosure option is to use the statement, "Visit website address for more food information." If this option is used, the same requirements for electronic or digital disclosure apply. The standard defines small packages as those with less than 40 square inches and provides additional flexibility since there is limited space on the package. When using the electronic or digital disclosure, the text message disclosure, or the phone disclosure for small manufacturers, the required on-package statements may be shortened to scan for info, text for info, or call for info. Other than these modifications for the text that appears on the package, the requirements for each disclosure option remain the same. The standard defines very small food packages as those with less than 12 square inches and allows the disclosure to be made using a pre-existing website or phone number. When a pre-existing website or phone number is used, the disclosure on the website or over the phone must be made according to the requirements of on-package text or symbol disclosure. The standard also applies to food sold in bulk containers, which includes, among other things, raw agricultural products. Retailers who sell bulk products are responsible for ensuring that proper disclosures are made using any of the 4 standard options available to all regulated entities, including text, symbol, electronic or digital, and text message disclosures. Regardless of which disclosure option is used, the disclosure must be made on signage or other materials on or near the bulk food items in a way that is accessible to consumers. The standard allows for 2 different types of voluntary disclosure. First, entities that are exempt, such as very small food manufacturers and restaurants, may voluntarily make bioengineered food disclosures. Second, regulated entities may make voluntary disclosures for foods that are derived from foods produced through bioengineering but do not contain detectable modified genetic material. The requirements for both types of disclosure are different and explained further on the following slides. Entities that are otherwise exempt from the disclosure requirements may voluntarily disclose using any of the disclosure options available to regulated entities. This is available to very small food manufacturers, as well as restaurants and similar retail food establishments. The second type of voluntary disclosure is only available for foods that are derived from foods produced using bioengineering, but do not contain detectable modified genetic material. Examples may include highly refined ingredients like corn syrup originating from BE corn or soybean oil derived from soybeans. This type of voluntary disclosure is not allowed for any other foods or ingredients. Things that cannot be voluntarily disclosed include foods derived from an animal-fed bioengineered feed, foods that are primarily meat, poultry, or eggs, and incidental additives. For this second type of voluntary disclosure, entities may use any of the available disclosure options. However, the text must be written as derived from bioengineering or ingredients derived from a bioengineered source. For disclosure by symbol, this symbol must be used. The symbol can be printed in color or in black and white. Now that we know how disclosures are made, let's move on to what type of records must be kept to demonstrate compliance with the standard. The disclosure provisions of the standard are driven by record keeping. When a regulated entity uses a food on the list of bioengineered foods and decides not to make a bioengineered food disclosure, the records must verify that the food is not bioengineered or does not contain detectable modified genetic material pursuant to the standard at 66.9. When a regulated entity makes a disclosure of foods on the list, records would simply identify the food or ingredient. All entities subject to the standard must keep sufficient records to show they are in compliance with the disclosure requirement. AMS requires that regulated entities keep customary and reasonable records that are generated in the normal course of business. It is up to each regulated entity to determine which records to maintain to demonstrate they are in compliance. These records can be kept in any format, including hard copy or electronic copy, and may be stored at any business location. Each regulated entity must determine what business records they want to maintain in order to demonstrate that they are in compliance with the standard. Examples of possible records that may be useful in showing compliance are invoices, bills of lading, inventory records, supply chain records, country of origin records, process verifications, organic certifications, and laboratory test results. There are several additional record-keeping requirements worth noting. The standard requires records to be maintained for 2 years after the food is sold or distributed for retail sale. Some records, such as those verifying a certain manufacturing process or testing, may be necessary to retain for longer periods of time. When USDA requests records, those records need to be produced within 5 business days unless USDA grants an extension. If on-site access is necessary, USDA will provide notice of at least 3 business days in advance. Our last topic is enforcement. How will AMS enforce the standard? Failure to make a bioengineered food disclosure as required by the standard is prohibited. Enforcement of the standard is complaint-driven and compliance is based on records. Complaints about possible violations of the standard will be made to AMS. USDA does not intend to test individual foods or ingredients to ensure they are properly labeled. When AMS receives a complaint, it will determine if a further investigation is warranted. If appropriate, AMS will conduct an audit of the regulated entity's records and notify the entity of its finding of the audit or investigation. A regulated entity will be able to appeal the results of an audit or investigation. Following an appeals hearing, AMS will notify the regulated entity of its final determination in the matter. A summary of the results of the audit or investigation will then be posted to the AMS website. The implementation date is the date when regulated entities should prepare to fully comply with the standard. The compliance date, January 1st, 2022, is the date by when all bioengineered foods entering the stream of commerce must be labeled in compliance with the standard. Regulated entities may voluntarily comply before that time and may continue to use labels that were in compliance with state laws that are now preempted until January 1st, 2022. This concludes the presentation portion of the webinar. Thank you for taking the time to learn about the National Bioengineered Food Disclosure Standard. I'll now pass it on to my colleague Lack to answer a few of the questions that were submitted in advance of the webinar.
Thank you, Anna. The first question we will cover is, animal products are exempt, right? No, the animal products are not exempt. The exemption at 7 CFR 66.5D states that a food derived from animal shall not be considered a bioengineered food solely because the animal consumed feed produced from, containing, or consisting of a bioengineered substance. This exemption means an animal does not produce a bioengineered food solely because of what it ate. Products from an animal may still require a disclosure, especially when other ingredients are added to that animal product, for example, cheese. Visit the disclosure determination tool on the website for assistance. So now we will move on to the second question. The second question is, I am using X ingredient. Do I need to make a disclosure? If the ingredient is produced from or using an item on the AMS list of bioengineered foods, then you must make a disclosure unless you have records to demonstrate it is not a bioengineered food. If the ingredient is not on the AMS list of bioengineered foods and is not produced using an ingredient on the list, then you only need to make a disclosure if you have actual knowledge that you are using a bioengineered food. Visit the AMS, the disclosure determination tool on AMS website for more assistance. Now we'll move on to the question number 3. I'm using a bioengineered food ingredient, but it is less than 2% of entire product. Do I need to make a disclosure? Yes, you need to make a disclosure. The threshold exemption only applies when the presence of a bioengineered substance is inadvertent or technically unavoidable and below 5%. Here, because the bioengineered food is being used intentionally, it requires a disclosure. The fourth question is, I am using a food on the AMS list of bioengineered foods and do not want to make a disclosure. My supplier sent me a record that says non-GMO. Is that sufficient? So the answer to the question is no. A record that only says non-GMO is likely not enough to comply with the BE standard. The record should be one of the following. A record that indicates food is produced from a non-bioengineered crop. A record that indicates the food has been subjected to a refinement process validated to render modified genetic material undetectable. Third record is a record such as certificate of analysis or other testing record appropriate to a specific food that confirm the absence of a detectable modified genetic material. The final question is, I'm a co-packer. Am I responsible for complying with the BE standard? AMS will look to the regulated entity to demonstrate compliance. Depending on the food, the regulated entity would be the food manufacturer, the importer, or the retailer. For packaged food, AMS will be looking to the entity that is named on the package to demonstrate compliance. This concludes the question and answer portion of the webinar. Thank you again for attending. I will now pass it off to my colleague, Serena, for a final wrap-up.
Thank you, Lack. If you have any further questions, you may submit them through our email inbox to befood.disclosure@usda.gov. You can also download a copy of the slides, transcript, and a recording of a previous version of this webinar on the USDA Bioengineered Food Disclosure website at ams.usda.gov/BE. Our website also includes a variety of resources such as fact sheets, FAQs, and a disclosure determination tool to help regulated entities comply with the standard. We hope you found this presentation helpful, and thank you so much for your time and attention. Thanks.